So if you set something in the day, if you don't do it, that undermines your confidence in the person you want to become.
It's more of a taking a short pause to ensure you can carry on for longer rather than burning the candle at both ends and running out of wax.
But the biggest part of it is aligning it against our own lives and making it real. You know, we're not just talking theory, we're talking stuff we go through.
Almond nuts or whatnot. Like, you know, Lee, you're talking about. That's why I say almond nuts.
Say it's not a safe place to keep them at.
Yeah,
Anywhere inside.
Let's not start sentences with "I've got my nuts in." Inspiration Nation, hello, Lee Kemp here for another week on the podcast, as always, with my very good friend Joe Noya and Ryan Boniface. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah, good, thanks, Lee.
That is what I like to hear. We thank everyone out there for listening to us. Of course, across all major podcast platforms. Catch us on YouTube, just search for Joe Noya, Inspiration Nation. And of course, live on Instagram each and every Tuesday, 8:30 GMT. Just again, search for Joe Noya, or Jose Noya, should I say, Inspiration Nation, and you will find him and you can watch us live as we record. And don't forget, of course, follow us on social media at Listen2IN, Listen2IN, and again, search for Jose anywhere you get your social media content. So, what is the inspirational topic of inspiration, Joe?
Today, the topic of inspiration is following through on your promises, keeping your promises that you say you will do.
Ledger.
Ledger? What's this, Ryan? Explain for me. I have to have this explained.
Lee can explain.
Lee, explain.
No, it's all right. Move on, Joe. Let's carry on with the podcast.
Right, I think everyone wants to know now.
But that's what you call him out for every week. At the end of every podcast every week.
What do I call him out on? What is it?
You all have to work it out.
Writing in my diary of empowering and positive.
Oh, that's for later. That's for later.
All right. We'll follow through on that promise later. Let's talk about how you two haven't kept your promises.
That's a really good point, though, Ryan. Thank you for that reminder.
We'll get to me later.
So we'll get to Lee later. See you, Lee, later. Okay. So it's about following through on your promises. The reason I'm raising this is because I had a really difficult day last week. It was really hard, and I found I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do any videos. I didn't want to do anything. I got up, I recorded a video in my dressing gown, and I just didn't feel anything doing it. Now, what I did promise myself is I promised myself that I'd follow through on at least doing one piece of content every single day. And of course, I've got that daily video, which is going up. And it's really funny that week, because when I was looking at some more content, it's actually over the weekend, there was this particular topic got raised on the We Do Hard Things Clubhouse room on Clubhouse. It's called, I think it's called Fearless Fridays with Mark Dragon. They talked about following things when you promise yourself. So if you set something in the day, if you don't do it, that undermines your confidence in the person you want to become. And what the idea is that you should follow through, and even if you don't want to do it, but the next day, then say, hey, I need to rearrange my day because it's not working for me. And I quite like this concept, because they're talking about, if you want to go to a certain table, if you want to raise your standards, which is part of it, but go to a different table, different sort of caliber of people, then you have to raise your standards to get there. That means following through on the promise you make yourself. So, what are you bringing to that table? Are you bringing something to that? Are you following through on who you are? And that means if you say you're going to do it, then you've got to do it. And that's what I'm talking about. And I wanted to get your take on it. And feel free to ask your questions about anything that I've gone through over that day, because it was really tough. Though I did follow through and put through on that question. Now, actually, Mark Dragon followed through and says, sometimes you do need to give yourself a hug and just come back harder the next day. So that was interesting. So what do you make of that, guys?
So I just want to talk a little bit more about your weekend, Joe, if that's all right first.
Yep.
Because like you said, you sent a message to me and Ryan, which was, I've never seen you like it, Joe, unshaven, in your dressing gown, at what is the middle of the day for you at 8 o'clock in the morning, saying you weren't feeling good, which I think was, I'm glad you can share that with us and say that genuinely. Everything else from here on in is sarcastic, but I'm glad about that. And then you even said in it that you're going to post a video, and you did. I saw the next day that video was actually on your Instagram as well. And so there's two things to kind of just reflect on with you on it. I think first is that it can't have been more than 2 weeks ago that me and Ryan were trying to convince you why you just needed to do a video and nothing else during the day. And actually here you are 2 weeks later volunteering to do that. So that's quite a mindset shift. That's a very difficult sentence to say.
Almost slipped up there.
Over a few weeks. And I don't know what, I suppose I'll lead in the other observation too as well, is that you then said that was on Saturday you sent the video, wasn't it? And you weren't feeling it. And then you sent the message saying, actually on Sunday, I'm going to post a video, but that's it. And then I was scrolling through my socials on Sunday afternoon, and you posted about 4 or 5 videos on Sunday, which made me think there was quite a few videos on there on Sunday.
Two. I don't think it's only 2. I'm sure it's only 2.
I'm sure it was 4.
Oh, well.
You go a bit video crazy, which was good. I thought it made it seem like you got a little bit of spring back in your step again. And I suppose what took you from I can't possibly take a day off to actually I do need a day off over a 2-week period?
I just needed to have that reset. I mean, if you're going through a really hard time at work, and I've just, we talk about tonight, and I just, literally, we've got our day jobs, and I just finished work, came onto the podcast tonight to do this podcast. And it's a lot of energy has been expended at the moment. And I was speaking to my family, and it's just sort of saying, I need to conserve a bit of this energy because I'm just not feeling it. And I think it's just impacting. So I love doing this whole Inspiration Nation. This actually is my thing that I absolutely love. And that's why, if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. I wouldn't be doing those videos. But I really love it because it's, one, it reminds myself that I can do these things. And 2, I want to help other people, and I want to show that actually it's not always easy. It's really difficult sometimes. Although I come on and we say, we should be doing it. But, everybody goes through these moments where it's difficult, and for me, it's just like I thought I had to sort of conserve a bit of energy and maybe ramp it down for this period while I'm going through this really, really difficult phase, because it's only got to last for this month, and then it's all not back to normal. But it's I haven't got this project ongoing, which has really been challenging for me. And so I'm recognizing that, hey, to deliver my best, I need to ramp that down a little bit just on that piece.
Rebalancing where your energy goes a little bit.
And so a bit of energy, yeah. And so that's what I'm going to do. So I still do the blog, and I still do, if you sign up for the newsletter at janecoates.weebly.com, if you sign up for that, you still get your newsletter. But usually 2 newsletters. I only did 1. So I only do 1 on Saturday at the minute. I'll do 1 a week. Let's do 2 a week. So this month is going to be 1 a week, but June will be to go back up to two a week, unless anything happens, of course. We just never know in life, right? But that's where it sits. I answer your question, by the way.
No, you have, and it's good, and it's the reflection on it, because as we talk about a lot, we come on here, we talk about a lot of people's mantras, things we see, we try and give people some energy, give people inspiration, but the biggest part of it is aligning it against our own lives and making it real. We're not just talking theory, we're talking stuff we go through, and we say it's about pushing through when it's difficult, not just when it's easy. And I think it's good, I'm glad you said that, and I think it's good for everyone watching and listening, they can share in this journey with us, because it is, and you've shown there, you haven't had to just throw in the towel because something else has got hard. You've just rebalanced your priorities a little bit. And the thing you did, which I was really glad you did, was when you were feeling it, you shared those thoughts with us as well. And I think that's a really important part of it, because we all go through those things from time to time. We said, didn't we, when we came on here in our little chat at the start, it'd be good to start logging almost just weekly a snapshot of where we are. Are things good? Are we struggling? Is it somewhere in the middle? Because I think when I'm feeling down, having that view that actually in 2 weeks' time I'll be feeling great. And actually, just because I'm feeling down doesn't mean everyone else around me is quite good for kind of putting a bit of context on everything. Because it wasn't it? It was only 2 weeks ago where I was struggling quite a bit and came on, and now we said I'd had quite a good overall day today working outside of work, and it's funny how that balance goes. So I think it was good. It was good sharing that, Joe, and us being able to put a bit of the struggles of real life instead of all the positives in there as well.
Well, I think it's got to be real, haven't you? That video that I posted to you guys, I actually put it on Instagram. I put that video.
Well, that was on the theme. You told us that's what you do. You said that out. You made it a promise, and you went and did it.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, right? It's about being real, because I think also for me, and I don't know whether you guys agree, and Ryan, I'd like to get your view on this, is that Instagram, I just think, just needs a bit of reality check, because there's a lot of stuff on there that, not the stuff that I tune into, but there can be a lot of stuff that actually, that isn't real. And I think people have to get real. Real life is difficult. It's hard. It's difficult. It's not a bed of roses. It's always going to be challenging. So, yeah, that's how I'd look at it. But Ryan, you got any views on that?
Yeah. What if you hadn't have taken the week off or the day off over Easter or whenever it was? How do you think you would have faced Saturday?
I've got no idea. Because I
don't know. Do you think you would have, because before Easter, you taking a day off is sacrilege. Like, it never would have happened. So do you think you would have just found an excuse to, for want of a better phrase, pull yourself together and get on with it?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I'd tell you if I knew, but it's because I
have you had many of those days or anything similar prior to this weekend? Because that's what we're nearing 900 days, right? So if this is the first day where if this is the first day where you've gone, nah, I don't fancy it, in 900 days, which is, 2.5 years?
Yeah.
That's in one way that's good going, but in another way, this is long overdue. And it just proves the point that we were trying to make, and maybe your family were trying to make the other week, that kind of scheduled periodic downer days are beneficial to the longevity of your coaching career, if you like.
Like it. Yeah, and it's all about self-awareness, isn't it? And I think this bit is not necessarily schedule them, though I get a point. I think some people might have to schedule those days. I think it's, for me, it's around how I am. Like, when I wake up, where am I? Like, I'm very much a case of, we talked about the yellow, red, blues. I'm very much a feeling person. So it's how I feel on the day. And I just really was not feeling it. So for me, it's like I had my day scheduled out anyway. So every morning I'll do it. So, that day I didn't feel it, I did it. And then the next day, as I said, this promises thing, I said, right, tomorrow I'm just going to do the bare minimum, do my 2 videos, and I'm out. And I stuck to it. And you know what, Ryan? I think you are right. So that maybe in retrospect, had I had that, would I have not have done it? I just don't know. Maybe yes. I needed that thing to sort of maybe bring it to my awareness, but I really can't answer that yes or no truthfully. Unless I went back in a time machine and didn't do it and see what the outcome was. It's very difficult for me to be able to sort of ask that question. But it's a great question, but I would like to know the answer myself. Would I have still done it? Or would I maybe have ignored how I was feeling, just proud on, which is, I don't think is a good thing either, because I think you have to acknowledge where you are. When I work for the Samaritans, you have to do an energy check. And if you're not, you have to sense check yourself, because obviously if you're dealing with people's emotions and traumas, then you need to be able to be in a space where
you can handle that.
Yeah, well, you can take that, because it all listening to people takes a lot of energy. If you're properly listening, it's tiring. If you are listening properly, it's tiring. If you're doing it properly. And so, yeah, essentially, so what Lee was saying about almost like checking in with yourself, and then checking this podcast, maybe do a smiley thing, like on the NHS now, they've got 1 to 5, and one is not painful, bad, or not bad. 2's happy. So is there a scale? So it's quite a good idea. It's quite good. I like that.
I think, coming from the king of procrastination over here, having days. What? What's that?
You gave me some advice, didn't you? You said, well, I do get these days. You said to me, get these procrastination days.
Most days are like this. I have to get up, have a shower, and drag my head out of, let's just not do much today. But yeah, as I say, from where I am, I would say on average, I would have more of your Saturdays than I do of your rest of the days. And I think that's just sometimes the genetic makeup of maybe who we are. But I've found motivations that may not last forever, which I think I have to accept. But I found motivations that right now kick into overdrive when I have those feelings, and they're like, we're not having that. We're kind of getting on with it. But I think everyone has those moments. Maybe not you for the past 900 days before Saturday or whatever, but I'm sure Lee will agree. He has some days where he wakes up and he feels, the exact same way. And I'm sure 95% or 99% of the rest of the world will as well. I don't think you're alone in that, and you shouldn't. I'm not sure you do, but you shouldn't feel as though it's a wasted day, because I definitely could imagine those words coming out of your mouth about this kind of scenario. It's more of a taking a short pause to ensure you can carry on for longer, rather than burning the candle at both ends and running out of wax, and then having to completely stop because you have a breakdown or whatever. Or
I think a promise to make to yourself, Joe, is to take some downtime now and again.
I will, just depending where I feel, right? Because and it's really interesting saying that about like the breakdown, and I had my depression, and it was sort of like that's where I felt very burned out. So I do recognise that now, that self-awareness, which is the most important thing. And it's really interesting because when you said, Ryan, about your days where you have those procrastination days, and over those 897 days, it's like one of the first times. It's not one of the first times. It's the days when I haven't felt. There's days when I felt like I didn't want to do it, but not to the extent that this was this week, which is really strange. Like this was really like I felt, I could really feel.
So do you think that caused it? Anything that you think a late night, or you ate something new for dinner, or I don't know, you watched a different TV show and you just changed your mindset? It's just, to you, was it just random?
That's really interesting saying, because I say interesting, I don't know what I say, but it's this project I've got. I mean, it's taken out of me. It's like I'm doing there's a lot of observation, there's a lot of listening, there's a lot of talk. It's like quite intense. And I think also, it's interesting saying that, is there anything else? I think my diet hasn't been the greatest. I've really just been going to my bit of comfort food. I've got my nuts in the what do you call them, almond nuts and whatnot. Like, I know, Lee, you were talking about. That's why I say almond nuts.
I say it's not a safe place to keep them at. Ain't anywhere inside you.
Let's not start sentences with "I've got my nuts in." This is a family-friendly show.
As soon as I said that, I knew that's one. But anyway, going over that. So, I've really been going to comfort foods when I'm feeling like, even when I've had a good day, I was like, I'll still eat something really not that great, like a bag of crisps or something like that. So there's a bit of that, but I'm still doing my routine and still doing that. So I'm balancing it off, but I do find it a challenge. So maybe you pick sometimes, maybe it's because of what I'm eating, and that coupled with that, because I had a bacon sandwich before that as well. And I don't usually eat in the morning, so I had a bacon sandwich, and then I felt, so is there a bit of disappointment in that maybe it was that coupled with the fact that I don't feel great that created that whole feeling of, I just don't feel like it. So I just want to continue with this eating bacon sandwiches type day of nothingness and just take a day. But I didn't. I still did the video because I thought it was important for me to show myself about it.
Sorry, go on, Ryan.
No, go on, mate.
I was just going to say, on the theme with this, and a little bit of this today, like you said, Joe, the important is this is why it's important. In, like you said, you make promises yourselves, and if you don't do them, it can have a negative motivational effect. And I actually had a moment where I did the opposite of that today. So you didn't realise it would tie in with this, and didn't really think about it. You made me think about it talking about diet. The first thing I was going to talk about, and then I'll come back to this, just quick of Instagram shout out. So Angela joined us. Hello, Angela. Danny is on now as well. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. So the first thing on the promises, I'm about 5 years deep now on having it rooted in my head that the way to start every day on a positive note is making my bed. Because it's the first, and we talked about this. It's I can't remember the guys now, but the Navy guy. There's loads of like quotes and stuff about it. But that's your first job of the day, and it's in my head. If I decide not to do it, that's me skipped the first job of the day, and it sets everything off on the bad foot. And I suppose that came to my mind with what you're talking about, because I do that, and I think it sets me off in the right tone. But saying about the diet thing, obviously we're not spoken out a few weeks, but I'm still doing this fasting routine at the moment. And I've told myself I'm going to keep to doing it. I've got a little app on my phone that tracks the timings and stuff where I am. And at the moment, I'm on what's called an 18-6. So I fast for 18 hours. I'm then able to eat for 6 hours, fast for 18, and so goes a routine. And I kind of, the last week or so, it kind of started when I was off work for a week. I started going a little bit bandy with it and not doing great with it, especially when I was visiting like family and stuff like that. It was really hard, especially at the end of the day, to keep to it, and the routine went out. But I decided I was going to keep logging it, even if I did it for a few hours, to keep the routine going and get myself back into it. And today was the first day of properly getting back into it. So I started last night. I needed to wait until 2:30 today, and I decided I was just going to push straight back in, and it's quite big to jump straight back into it. And it got to about 1:00 today, and my brain was going, just have something to eat. You've done really well. 17 hours is nearly 18 hours. Go on, just have something to eat, Lee. You've done well. Give yourself a bit of comfort food. And I was like, no, it's only an hour. I can do it. And when I get that food in another hour's time, it will feel even better than I do now. Because I knew if I had it now, I'd feel good for a second, and then I'd feel a bit, that word I nearly slipped up and said earlier, that trying to think of something that rhymes with it, hit. So I did, and I pushed through, and I felt good because of doing it. And like you said, Joe, and it is, I didn't really thought about it in a way, but when you tell yourself you're going to do something and then you make an excuse not to do it, I do think it has an effect that weighs down you. That's not to say that sometimes you can't reschedule things or move things around or decide to do something another time, but for the most part, I think it does. If you just decide not to do it for whatever reason, you told yourself you will, I do think it can have that demoralizing effect. So I think it's a really good concept.
The important thing is that do it for the day. Whatever you decide to do, promise through and follow through on it. That's what I did. But then after the next day, if you don't think you can do it the next day, then reschedule the next day and then do what you say you can do the next day, even if it's like a version. So do it on the day. If you still don't want to do it, you just do it like you did. You say, I'm going to do it like I did. You did it. I still edited the podcast video. I still got it out that day because I promised I'd do it to myself. And then the next day you can say, well, tomorrow I'm going to reschedule because I need this energy. So I think that's where the
I think you're good. That's where that, like you said, that it ties in a bit of, like you said, if you fall off the bike, just get up and get back on it again the next day. Don't let it kill you, because we're all human. Those things happen. And I know in the scheme of things, and I think this is an important message in it, making your bed and sticking to a diet you've put yourself to aren't particularly big things, really, but actually they're a core part of my day and my routine and my momentum. And I think being focused on those little things is what helps build up your whole wider mindset.
Well, remember James Clear? Talk about James Clear. Hey, Cindy, welcome to the podcast. Glad you're on your coffee break. But as James Clear said, you've got to vote for the person you want to become. Now, what you said, you might fall off a bit, but as long as you get back on, that's a tick, right? You're doing it. You're ticking to be the person you want to become and voting against the person you don't want to become, right? So long as the ticks outweigh and more weighted towards the person you want to become than the other way, then you're going to be good. So you can still have that leeway. Leeway, gosh, you did it.
Leeway without Lee.
Oh, no way. It's leeway or the no way. I love it. Then you can still become that person, but the votes are going to be more in favour. And that was like you said about you. I'm going to stick with that hour. I'm going to have the food, but I'm going to wait my hour and do it like. So for me, like following through that day, and then having a bit of time off the next day, that's fine. But on the day, follow through, like making the bed thing for me. Mine is the routine. I do make the bed if the wife's out, but I'll do my journaling or whatever, and that's my routine, right? And that sets you up, getting those tasks done, which make you feel proud of yourself, and then following through, because Lee, you didn't have that something to eat on that 18th hour or whatever. You can be proud you did it, and you felt proud of yourself, right?
Exactly right, 100%. It was a good pat on the back moment.
Yeah, and that for me is where the goal is, right? You're proud you followed through, you're proud you did the hard thing, and because you're proud, that goes into your character, which then makes you more resilient in the future. And so that's what and that's where I love it. That's where it sits really. But
that's it. I had a banana and apple, though, Ryan, as my reward, not a grape. You'll be disappointed to know. Get yourself your own, reward yourself with a great t-shirt over at InspirationNation.org.uk.
Talking of not letting the bike kill you and getting back on it, I have succumbed to death under the exercise bike. I've stopped. It's dead. And the issue is, well, I say the issue. The diet I'm sticking to relatively well. I'm eating well. Lee, you don't know, you didn't make comment on it, but you saw me have dinner. It was a Nando style chicken pasta. That's like 350 calories for the portion that I made myself. Right. I've sized down my meal portions. Like, I'm eating generally okay. The weekends are a bit but generally I'm okay. But I have, for all intents and purposes, as I promised would happen, lost every motivation to do what I wanted to do.
You can't stick promise on that like it's a positive thing.
Well, I said to you when it came around that these things always fluctuate with me and I can never stick to it. I thought making an investment in an exercise bike might sway me to keep on it this time. It hasn't. I thought making you guys kind of my accountability partners for it would kind of stick me to it. It hasn't. And even if you both called me tomorrow and was like, get out there and get on that blooming bike, wouldn't do it. I know I wouldn't do it because that's just.
I don't know that Joe would use strong words like blooming on the phone to you.
This is all about patterns, and you recognise the pattern that this is what you do. So it's really good that you recognise the pattern. You've got to just find a way. You've tried those different ways. Is there another way you can break the pattern? So that's you recognised it, because although I know you said earlier genetics and all this, I've been listening to other podcasts, and there's proof that we can actually, do change, and the way we think and the way we act can actually start to change who we are. We can change it if we've got enough the patterns, and we're willing to break the patterns that we've embedded into ourselves. But it's all subconscious and conscious, and the fact that you brought this to your consciousness, that you say, hey, this is what I do, then you have the opportunity to break it. It just, you haven't found the way yet. It's just yet.
It feels like it's been too long. Like, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. This spans years, like 4 or 5 years. This kind of thing spans where I've gone, I'd like to do X. Like, I started going to the gym and I went once, and I continued to pay for it for a year until I was like, I'm not actually going to go back, am I? So I may as well just cancel it, because this kind of the point being that I've established that money won't make me stick to something. Right? The fact that I bought the exercise bike is evidence of that. The fact I paid for a year's gym membership kind of is prevalent to that. And people always say that when they talk about weight loss and stuff, or dieting and that, it's majority of it is your diet and the rest is exercise. But you can't get to where you need to get without both of those factors coming into play. Otherwise, I'm just 80% in it the entire time, and I'm not going to get anywhere near where I need to get. So I'm just I don't know what to do. In the same way that on Saturday you didn't know what to do and you got up and you had your bacon sandwich, I don't know what to do in terms of, you probably thought on Saturday that, cool, why do I feel like this, and how do I fix it? And you've established that taking a shorter day Sunday, or a more quieter day, will put you back on that road. But that, I know that won't work for me. So I'm just not sure where I go about it and how I refine that motivation, to be honest.
Right, you've got about 4 minutes left, Joe, so let's bust out some awesome coaching.
Your takeaway for this is to take that's your action to take away, is to find a different way, another way, because you identified the pattern, is to, whether you're going to write it down, whether you're going to do the 20 ideas thing we talked about before, but you've actually identified it. So now you know it's in your consciousness. Now it's down to you to sort of think, okay, what would work? And I know you said you tried a load of things, but as the great coach Anthony Robbins says, if you said you tried everything, you haven't tried everything, because there's always something else to try. So is there someone else that's done what you've done? Just being creative with it, really. You just got to find your creative juice and just go, okay, so I tried this, that doesn't work, I really want it. Obviously, if your motivation or your reason for doing it is stronger than your to get into do it, so you know why you want to do it, and that's stronger than your issue of the challenge that you're doing, and that's a good thing. So is the reason strong enough for you? If it's not, what is the reason that's going to be strong enough for you to help you push through those moments where you think, no, I'm just going to not bother? So money's not the reason, because you said you spent the money, so that's not it. So again, it's for you is to reflect on that, and actually take some time, reflect and go, okay, tried this. What next? What's the other things that people are trying? What next could I try? And just keep trying at that, because now you've recognised the pattern. It's so important that you can say, hey, I know what I do. Now I can break it. I just haven't found the way to break it yet.
Yeah. I wouldn't protest to think that I've tried everything and start going down that line, but I'm definitely I'm not out of options, but I definitely am out of ideas of options to try.
Okay, what's going to be your action then before next week?
Try and think of new ways, I guess.
How many ideas are you going to try and think of for next week?
I don't know. Give me what would be a good number?
Any ones you want to? How many?
5.
5. So next week, 5. Let's write down, Lee. Can you put this in your little?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll write down that follow-up, and that's all the time we have for follow-ups this week. So moving on swiftly, I'll just shout over you until you stop talking.
Right, make sure you write that down. This is actually for next week when we do this. Write it down. Write it down somewhere so don't forget, right?
Let me get my phone.
You've got to own this. 5 ideas for next week. This could be the subject of next week's podcast. We'll start off with that.
Love it. Some live coaching on the Nation. I will say to you, Joe, we reference it at the start. There is no writing in the journal. It is over there on the bookshelf. However, there were, and I'm not going to talk about them because there's two specific individuals. But then, you're going all echoey, Joe. Is that on your end too, Ryan?
Yeah.
Oh, am I right now?
You're back now. You're back. So 2 specific instances that I got here to write in the book. I just haven't wrote them in the book, but the mindset is in there, which is the intent in this as well.
When does this happen? You promised me a date last week, and you
did. I.
He did. You did.
What was the date?
You did.
It was by Saturday, wasn't it?
Yes. So
I failed.
You've got 2 minutes. Lee, write it down. Write it down somewhere. Put it somewhere you write. What's going to be the trigger for you to do this?
I have no writing implements. Oh, look, this is a phone. I'm throwing this onto my sofa, which is not where it belongs. And the fact it's there will remind me to do it. There you go. It's in.
Right here, Lee is going to be using that as a trigger for him to write in the book. Okay.
We thank everyone out there for listening as the time counts down viciously. This is what happens, Joe. You drag it out. I
just want to get some commitment.
You make being a floor manager very difficult. Right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Really appreciate you supporting the show, following the journey with us. Hopefully, you're getting some great inspiration from this. Catch us on all podcast platforms and on YouTube, Jose Noya Inspiration Nation. Don't forget to follow us on social media as well at Listen2IN, Listen2IN. We love all the interaction we get on there. Joe is across every social media platform that exists and hasn't yet been created. Just search for Jose Noya Inspiration Nation. Check us out over at inspirationnation.org.uk for the coaching service and to get your fantastic Inspiration Nation merch, like the hoodie I am wearing right now that you see in front of you. And of course, don't forget to sign up to Joe's newsletter as well. Just search for JN Coaching Technologies. Stick it into your Google machine. Right. I think that's all my housekeeping done.
He has ordered the mug, apparently. He's ordered the mug. Has he ordered the hoodie?
Yes, he has. And a face mask as well.
Really?
I am all in on this Inspiration Nation business.
Wow, I'm looking forward to seeing that whole caboodle.
I will be kitted up to the eyeballs in Inspiration Nation. You can get yours as well, again, over at inspirationnation.org.uk. And of course, we are on Instagram each and every week. Just look for Jose Noya Inspiration Nation on Instagram and join us at 8:30 GMT, 3:30 Eastern in the States, each and every Tuesday for your weekly dose of inspiration. Right. Thank you again, guys. Another good week. All that's left to do is to count us down. 3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation. Catch you guys later. So guys, I want you to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video. I want you to put it in the description below and hashtag it with Inspiration Nation, because it's important that you take something away and work on it so you can get to your next level. So you can catch all our other Inspiration Nation podcast episodes right over here. So go check them out. Also, don't forget to subscribe, because that will tell you when your next video goes live by you hitting that amazing bell. So until next time, it's Inspiration Nation, and I'll see you right over there.